The human mind was not designed for the chaos of the modern world. Every single day, millions of people wake up and immediately place their attention into the hands of strangers. Before their feet touch the floor, they are already scrolling, absorbing opinions, absorbing negativity, absorbing comparison, absorbing noise, and slowly, without realizing it, their ability to focus begins dying. Not dramatically, silently, like a candle losing its flame little by little. Think about your own life for a moment. When was the last time you sat in complete silence without reaching for your phone? When was the last time you focused deeply on one thing without distraction pulling you away? When was the last time your mind felt truly calm? Most people cannot even remember because modern life has trained human beings to become addicted to interruption. Every notification steals attention. Every short video weakens patience. Every moment of endless scrolling teaches the brain to crave stimulation instead of depth. And the frightening part is this: most people believe this is normal. They believe mental exhaustion is normal. Constant distraction is normal. Anxiety is normal. Emotional chaos is normal. But Stoicism teaches something completely different. It teaches that a scattered mind creates a scattered life. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Even as Emperor of Rome, surrounded by war, politics, betrayal, and endless pressure, he constantly reminded himself to guard his attention. Why? Because he knew something most people never realize. Your life moves in the direction of your focus. If your attention constantly moves toward negativity, your inner world becomes negative. If your attention constantly moves toward distraction, your discipline weakens. If your attention constantly moves toward meaningless things, your life slowly loses meaning itself. But there is something even deeper. Focus is not only about getting work done. Focus determines who you become, because whatever repeatedly holds your attention eventually shapes your identity. Think about someone who spends years consumed by anger. Eventually, anger becomes part of their personality. Think about someone constantly focused on comparison. Eventually, insecurity becomes their emotional home. Think about someone addicted to distraction. Eventually, they lose the ability to sit with discomfort long enough to grow. And this is why so many people feel lost today. Not because they are incapable, not because they are unintelligent, but because their attention has become fragmented. Their minds are constantly divided between the past, the future, fear, entertainment, anxiety, and endless noise. And a divided mind cannot build a meaningful life. Imagine trying to build a house while someone interrupts you every 30 seconds. Imagine trying to have a deep conversation while 10 people scream in your ears. Imagine trying to find peace while your thoughts never stop racing. This is how millions of people live every single day. And eventually, their lives begin falling apart. Their goals remain unfinished. Their relationships become shallow. Their confidence disappears. Their emotional stability weakens. Because focus is connected to everything. A person who cannot focus usually cannot stay disciplined. A person who cannot stay disciplined usually cannot trust themselves. And a person who cannot trust themselves slowly loses inner peace. Stoicism teaches that peace comes from inner order, not external success, not endless pleasure. Inner order. But inner order becomes impossible when the mind is constantly distracted. That is why the Stoics valued stillness so deeply. They understood that silence strengthens awareness. And awareness changes everything, because once you become aware of where your attention is going, you begin understanding why your life feels the way it does. Think about this honestly. How much of your anxiety comes from overconsumption? How much of your sadness comes from comparison? How much of your mental exhaustion comes from never allowing your mind to rest? Most people blame themselves for lacking motivation, while completely ignoring the environment destroying their focus every day. Imagine planting seeds in poisoned soil and expecting healthy growth. That is what modern distraction does to the human mind. The brain becomes overstimulated, patience weakens, deep thinking disappears, and then people wonder why they cannot stay consistent. But consistency requires focus, and focus requires discipline. Yet most people wake up every morning and instantly surrender their discipline. The first thing they touch is not their thoughts, not their goals, not their values. It is stimulation. And this creates a dangerous habit. Their minds become trained to seek escape before responsibility. Marcus Aurelius warned himself constantly not to become controlled by comfort. The day your attention breaks, your life begins breaking. Most people never notice the exact moment their focus starts collapsing, because it does not happen suddenly. It happens quietly, one distraction at a time, one unfinished task at a time, 1 hour wasted at a time, and eventually, the mind becomes so overstimulated that peace begins feeling unfamiliar. Think about how many people today cannot even walk without checking their phones, cannot eat without watching something, cannot rest without stimulation, cannot work without interruption. Even moments of silence now feel uncomfortable. But there is something terrifying hidden inside this habit. A person who cannot control their attention eventually loses control over their life, because attention is connected to every part of human existence. Your relationships depend on attention. Your goals depend on attention. Your peace depends on attention. Even your identity depends on attention. Whatever repeatedly captures your focus slowly becomes your reality. Imagine spending years focusing on negativity. Eventually, your mind begins expecting suffering everywhere. Imagine spending years focused on comparison. Eventually, you stop appreciating your own life. Imagine spending years consumed by distraction. Eventually, discipline starts feeling impossible. This is why Stoicism teaches that attention is sacred. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself not to waste mental energy on meaningless things. Not because he hated pleasure, but because he understood the danger of unconscious living. Most people do not choose their thoughts intentionally. They simply react all day long, react to notifications, react to opinions, react to emotions, react to problems. And because they are always reacting, they never truly lead themselves. Think about this carefully. If your emotions can be controlled by every message, every comment, every inconvenience, then who is truly controlling your life? The Stoics believed freedom begins when you stop becoming a slave to external things, not because the world becomes easier, but because your inner world becomes stronger. But modern society trains people to become mentally weak. Everything encourages instant gratification, instant entertainment, instant dopamine, instant escape from discomfort, and slowly, people lose the ability to stay with difficult things. The moment boredom appears, they escape. The moment discomfort appears, they scroll. The moment focus becomes difficult, they quit. And this creates a dangerous cycle. The more you escape discomfort, the weaker your attention span becomes. The weaker your attention span becomes, the harder discipline feels. And the harder discipline feels, the more you seek distraction. Until eventually, you feel trapped inside your own habits. But there is something deeper most people never understand. Distraction is not always pleasure. Sometimes distraction is fear. Fear of failure. Fear of being alone with your thoughts. Fear of confronting your true potential. Because deep down, many people already know they are capable of more. More discipline, more greatness, more growth. But facing that truth creates responsibility. And responsibility feels heavy. So instead of confronting their potential, they numb themselves with endless stimulation. Think about how often people say, "I'm busy," but are they truly productive or simply distracted? There is a difference. A distracted mind can stay busy all day while accomplishing nothing meaningful. Because busyness is not focus. True focus requires intentional attention, and intentional attention has become rare. Seneca warned about this thousands of years ago. He believed people waste their lives chasing things that do not matter while ignoring what truly matters most. And what matters most is often simple: peace, character, purpose, presence, discipline. But these things require depth, and depth cannot exist in a constantly distracted mind. Imagine trying to read a book while someone interrupts you every minute. Eventually, your understanding disappears. Now imagine living your entire life that way. Constant interruptions, constant noise, constant stimulation. That is the modern human condition. And because of this, many people feel emotionally exhausted without understanding why. Their nervous systems never rest, their minds never slow down, their thoughts never settle. They consume information from the moment they wake up until the moment they sleep. And then they wonder why anxiety follows them everywhere. But Stoicism teaches that peace requires mental space. A calm mind cannot exist in constant chaos. This is why the Stoics valued solitude. Not loneliness, solitude. The ability to sit quietly with oneself. Today, many people fear being alone without distraction because silence exposes the condition of the mind. And sometimes what they discover frightens them. Restlessness, insecurity, fear, unresolved pain. But Stoicism teaches that avoiding inner discomfort only strengthens it. Healing begins when you stop running. Imagine someone carrying a wound while refusing to look at it. The wound cannot heal. The same is true psychologically. If you constantly distract yourself from your inner world, your mind never fully recovers. This is why focus is deeply connected to emotional strength. A person who can sit quietly, think clearly, and remain present develops inner stability. But a person constantly escaping into distraction becomes emotionally fragile, because their peace depends on stimulation, and anything external can always disappear. Think about modern attention carefully. Apps compete for your focus. Companies profit from your distraction. Algorithms are designed to keep you emotionally reactive. Your attention has become valuable because it controls behavior. And yet, most people give it away freely, hour after hour, day after day, year after year, without realizing they are slowly trading their lives for temporary stimulation. But there is still hope, because the human mind can recover. Focus can be rebuilt, discipline can return, peace can return. But first, you must understand something difficult. Nobody is coming to save your attention for you. No app will suddenly create discipline. No motivational video will permanently change your habits. No perfect morning routine will magically fix your mind. The battle is internal. And every single day, you must decide whether you will feed distraction or feed focus. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. Despite being emperor, despite carrying enormous responsibility, he constantly disciplined his own thoughts. Because he knew, a person who cannot govern themselves cannot truly govern anything else. And this applies to your life too. You may want success, peace, purpose, confidence. But without focus, those things become difficult to sustain. Because achievement requires consistency. Consistency requires discipline. And discipline requires attention. Everything connects. This is why fixing your focus can transform your entire life. When your attention improves, your thinking improves. When your thinking improves, your decisions improve. And when your decisions improve, your future changes. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. But there is another danger people rarely discuss. A distracted life often becomes a shallow life. People begin consuming endlessly without reflecting deeply. They know information, but lack wisdom. They speak constantly, but rarely think carefully. They chase stimulation, but feel emotionally empty, because the soul needs depth the way the body needs water, and depth requires stillness. Imagine standing beside a lake during a storm. The water becomes chaotic. You cannot see clearly beneath the surface, but when the storm calms, clarity returns. The human mind works the same way. Constant distraction creates mental storms, and those storms make it impossible to think deeply, feel peacefully, or live intentionally. This is why Stoicism teaches emotional discipline, not suppression. Discipline, the ability to remain calm despite chaos, the ability to choose thoughts intentionally, the ability to direct attention consciously, the ability to stay present despite distraction. That is real strength, not loudness, not endless productivity, not appearing busy, inner control. And perhaps that is why so many people feel lost today, because they have mastered consuming, but never mastered themselves. They can scroll endlessly, but cannot sit quietly. They can react instantly, but cannot reflect deeply. They can absorb information constantly, but struggle to apply wisdom consistently. And slowly, their focus collapses. Then their discipline collapses. Then their confidence begins collapsing too. Because every broken promise to yourself weakens self-trust. Every unfinished goal creates frustration. Every distracted day creates regret. Until one day, you look at your life and wonder, how did I become this disconnected from myself? But that moment can also become the beginning of transformation, because awareness changes everything. The moment you truly recognize what distraction is costing you, you begin reclaiming power. And reclaiming power begins with small decisions, sitting in silence for a few minutes, finishing one difficult task completely, putting the phone away intentionally, learning to tolerate boredom again. These small actions seem insignificant, but they slowly retrain the mind, because focus is like a muscle. The more intentionally you use it, the stronger it becomes, and eventually, the same mind that once felt scattered becomes calm. The same person who once needed constant stimulation becomes comfortable in stillness. The same life that once felt chaotic begins feeling intentional again. But remember this carefully. Your future depends on what you repeatedly give your attention to, because attention shapes thought, thought shapes behavior, behavior shapes character, and character shapes destiny. This is Habit Hustle, and your transformation is only beginning.